You hear National Guard being sent in by the president. When you hear about Marines, active duty Marines being called up to a civil disobedience, to protest, to demonstrations in the streets, what does that trigger for you in your mind as a general?
It triggers a couple things, Willie, and it's a great question because we keep using the word, and the word that's being headlined is deployment of troops. They're deploying troops, whether it's the Guard or the Marines, to Los Angeles. Is that a legal thing to do, that the president can do that? Yes, it is. The president can deploy soldiers or Marines anywhere. The fact that we have to look at is, what is the mission set? What are they attempting to do? And you hit this very well in your conversation just now. What's their job? The National Guard's job, unless it's under the Insurrection Act, is to provide support for civilian authorities. In fact, that's the mission set, which means they guard buildings. That's okay. Why the White House has deployed Marines, I can only venture to say it's because they want to use the intimidation factor of Marines being there. But Marines can't do anything more than provide support to civilian authorities either. And truthfully, Marines don't train in that mission set. So that's very dangerous. When you pull Marines into that area, as you saw, there's a couple of pictures of Marines training with the shields and the batons. That's likely the first time they've ever touched those kinds of equipment. When you put them up against local citizens, civilians within the Los Angeles area, they're going to be anxious. Let's use that word as opposed to scared. They're facing their fellow citizens, and they haven't been trained in the right way that police use to disperse crowds or push crowds around. They can do the stop and drag, as they call it, with batons and shields, but that really doesn't have an effect. Guarding buildings, fine, that's a legal order. But it's truthfully, the tipping point is going to be if the president calls an insurrection act, which is defined as trying to overthrow the government. We haven't seen any indicators of that yet. That's when it's going to become dangerous. He can deploy troops to support civilian authorities, but they don't arrest, they don't touch, they don't handle people. Secretary Hegseth put out a tweet yesterday that said something to the effect of, we're now deploying Marines and they're going to round up these criminals. I'm telling you, if that happens, that's an illegal act.